Rocky Balboa.
Hello everybody, my name is Mr. Hat, and today we're going over the 2006 Rocky Balboa, the 30-year anniversary of the original one in 1976. This one just tells a simple story about Rocky's in retirement, and he's running this restaurant called Adrian's after his late wife, who's dead in this movie. She died in like 2004, according to her tombstone. But Rocky's just in retirement, and then one day he just gets the idea that maybe he's not done fighting, he just wants to get back into the ring, because ESPN. He basically just wants to prove to the whole world that he can still go the distance and that he's still got it. And that's what it's all about. I'm going to go over the things that I like about this movie because overall I was just not satisfied with this movie. I mean, most people put this towards the bottom of their list. I've seen other people put it like number 5 or 6 out of 8. So this movie isn't that well liked compared to the other ones. And I have to agree with them, because I just was underwhelmed by it. But the things I did like, let's go over that, shall we? I like some of the little winks and nods that we get in this movie, but that's also going to be a negative, and I'll say why when I get to there. But I like the little things that we see in this movie, like he still has 2 turtles, you know, and there's all these locations that he's going to from the first movie, you know, at the pet store. She's still wearing the same outfit. Still Rocky. Some elements of this movie feel like a Rocky movie. We get the son in this movie still from part 5, but it's not the same actor. It's somebody else. But he's still kind of like, you know, upset with his father. Apparently they haven't healed their rough relationship since the 5th one. Like, they're still, like, not talking to each other, apparently. And then we find out towards the end that it's because his dad's famous or something. This movie has some continuity. Like, there is flashbacks to the other ones, but I think this movie doesn't pick up right after the other one. So that continuity is gone now. But this is still a continuation. Like, this is more of a sequel to the first one, because all these little homages that we get are from the first one. I like that Stallone's just an everyday guy. Like, everyone just loves him. He's very nice. He's one of those celebrities that you would want to meet. And, you know, because he's got this restaurant and he tells people stories. The restaurant's called Adrian's. And it says established in 1995, the year I was born. So apparently, 9 years after the events of Rocky 5, he opens a restaurant called Adrian's. But people come in all the time and he's just talking to them. He's very nice. I like his character in this movie. We meet that girl from the first movie. She's now a bartender, the one that he like walked home and she said, "Fuck off, creepo." She's back in this movie. I'm not sure if that's the same exact actress. Maybe it could be 30 years later. She looks like Deborah Messing to me. Like, when I saw her, I kept thinking of Deborah Messing, and she's not. Or I kept thinking of that one girl who talks about band camp and American Pie, but I don't think that could be her. But she just kind of had that face. We get Spider Rico, or whatever the hell his name is, from the first Rocky movie. He's the very first person you see fight Rocky in Rocky 1. The montage in this movie is okay. I mean, it's basically just, again, filled with winks and nods. You know, he's shrinking raw eggs again. He hasn't done that since the first one. He's beating raw meat. He's going up the steps. He's doing the same things. He's got the same trainer from the second and third movie, that Tony Burton, played by Tony Burton. I think he was a Apollo Creed's trainer, but now he's Rocky's. We get a Mike Tyson cameo. And I also like that the final fight actually feels like a live recorded fight that you would see on ESPN. Like, there's the timer on the corner, so it feels like you're watching it like real time. And we haven't had that in any of these movies so far. And I like that there's a timer, because before it was always like they got in the ring and then the editing came in and it was like, alright, they're done. Round 2. Like, it was like 5 seconds. But in this one, we actually get to see like a full 3-minute round play out. And I like that. I like that the ending of this movie, he doesn't win, because that would just be unrealistic. It was like a win-win, lose-lose situation, because if he won, I'd be happy because he won, but I'd be upset. Well, not upset. I would be kind of like, really? He won versus that guy half his age? Bullshit. But if he lost, I'd be like, no, he lost. But yeah, because that makes sense. But he loses, just like the first one. It's the same exact situation. It's like, it's a draw. We gotta go to the judges now. And they're like half and half. And then it basically goes to Mason Dixon in this movie. Mason Dixon, yeah, that's his name. Alright, my negatives. I think my biggest problem with this movie, like I was saying, that the winks and little nods to the first film were good. I always like that in movies, but this movie does it too much. My biggest problem with this movie is that I don't see why it needed to be made in the first place. It doesn't have a reason to be here. Like, why did this movie get made? It doesn't do anything different. It's the first movie done again 30 years later. The story in this movie, I feel like everything that plays out, the story structure is purposely like being forced into a direction and going places just for the sake to put these places and set pieces in to have a wink and nod to the first movie. You know, we have Rocky. He goes to the grave to see Adrian's grave, and, you know, like, remember Adrian? And then I mean, it makes sense, but then there's other things. Just like, why are we here? Why are we at the fish place? It's like, all right, now he's at the fish place. Now he's at this place. Now he's saying this shit. Now he's having this flashback. It's been 2 years, buddy. The grave says 2004, and he's like dragging Paulie everywhere with him. He's taking him to like the abandoned skating rink that's been torn down. This movie's just very sad. You got the same exact like piano riff, like chord progression playing throughout like 80% of this movie the whole time. But like I said, I just feel like this movie was just here to just say, hey, remember this movie? This movie wasn't trying to be its own film, and that's why I didn't like it as much. I felt like it was just trying to. This movie was just a big bag of member berries. It was like, oh, remember that? Remember this? Yeah, remember the pet store? Remember this? It was just so odd. It's like, why are you dragging Paulie to all these places? And then Paulie is like getting upset. He's like, you know, at least you were good to her. I was bad to her. You know, it's like all of a sudden it became like a competition about who was actually suffering the most. Grow up, Paulie. Another negative. Paulie, he's alive, but Adrian's dead. Why? I guess Adrian couldn't make it back for this film. That actress is still alive, so I guess she just turned down this role or something? Like, why is her character dead? Paulie should be dead. Paulie, he's still working at that meat place in the first movie, even though it kind of looked like he wasn't working there in the future installments. They kind of, like, put that place away. So I kind of thought he wasn't working there no more because they never acknowledged it. But now, apparently, he's still been working there. It's been over 30 years and he's not even retired yet, and then they lay his ass off. They fire him. They don't give him a watch. They give him meat. I'm pretty sure he stole that meat. And then he just goes to the Adrian's restaurant to make a scene and then immediately leave through the back alley, and it's like, what was that even for? Just to make this movie more dramatic? That's another thing about this movie. This movie doesn't focus on just it doesn't know how to focus. It just keeps going from character to character. It's like, all right, this movie's about Rocky. No, it's about his son now. No, it's about Rocky. No, it's about Paulie. No, it's about Rocky. No, it's about this chick who he talked to in the first movie for a little bit. No, it's about Rocky. No, it's about this girl's son now. And I really had to think about it for a while because in this movie, he like really attaches himself to that bartender and her son. And I didn't understand why, but the only thing I could come up with was his wife's dead, and his son's just trying to avoid him. His son's pissed off because, you know, he's famous, so therefore every time someone speaks to the son, they always want to talk about his dad. So it's kind of like this jealousy thing, like, it's all about you. The only reason why I got a job is because of you. I hate you. It's like, grow up. But the only reason why I could think of why he was spending so much time with these people was because he was just trying to replace them and forget about them. Like, all right, here's a replacement son. Here's this woman I can hang out with. And she kisses him on the lips at some point. But that's the only thing I can think of. It's just like, why do you care so much about these people? There's plenty of people in Philadelphia who are just as poor and suffering. Why do you care so much about these people? I just feel like the story was just going all over the place. It didn't just sit down and focus. The villain in this movie, the first third of this movie, it's like they insert these little tiny sequences of the villain, in this movie, and it gets to the point where you're like, who's that guy again? Oh, that's right. And they don't even give him like any story. Like, what's his motivation? Ego? Yeah, we've been there, done that. And the motivation for Rocky to start fighting again, he doesn't want to like do like big things. He just wants to fight local, but then he gets dragged into the big thing just because of some ESPN animated fight thing. Is that even real? In this movie, there's a fake animation what-if scenario that ESPN plays out. It's like, all right, here's a cartoon Stallone or Rocky versus cartoon person B, whatever the fuck his name is, Dixon. So forgettable. And it's like, oh, Rocky would win. So it's just like a bunch of people saying what if, and that just like motivates them to fight each other. I thought it was just lame. Just a lame excuse to get Rocky back in there. But yeah, the villain, he is so forgettable. Like, you thought Tommy Gunn was forgettable? I keep forgetting this guy's name. There's no focus for this guy at all, like his drive or nothing. He's a nobody. We don't know shit about him, but I feel like this movie at one point was trying real hard with like this very sincere talk at the beginning with like this grandpa looking guy talking to him. I'm like, what is even being said here? What are you guys talking about? Who are you again? I keep forgetting you. But he's also not intimidating at all. He is like scrawny compared to everybody else. In the Comcasters, the people commentating at the end, they even make mention of that. Like, wow, it doesn't look like this guy's been training at all because he just thinks he's going to win. Which he does. But yeah, I'm glad they acknowledged it. Which I guess it makes sense why he didn't look buff. because he just thought he was going to win. But he didn't look buff at the beginning either, so therefore he was scrawny all along. And then we get this weird moment where like this woman walks up to Rocky, she's flirting with him, or I guess she just wants a drink. She knows him, he's famous. And then immediately starts acting like a cunt, just to be a cunt. And then all the other people join in when he like leaves, and they're just being like very just loud and noisy and assholes. For what reason? Nothing. Just so Stallone could peacock in front of this woman who's half his age. Is so unnecessary in this movie. He's like, no, I'll be right back. I'm gonna rough these people up, and he like hits them against the wall and like apologize, and he apologizes, and then it's over. What was that for? Just so he could peacock and be like, yeah, I still got it. ESPN says a lot of times in this movie that Rocky won the championship belt twice. Didn't he win 3 times? Or did that one time just not count? Because he beat Creed, second movie. He beat Mr. T, third movie. He beat Drago, fourth movie. Isn't that 3 belts? Or which one didn't count? I'm not a big sports guy, but to me it's 3. And they kept saying 2. So it confused me. They don't even acknowledge the brain injury that he got in the 5th movie that like totally altered his personality because he was weird in that movie. But they don't touch base on that at all. There's no continuity to that movie. It's like, oh, he doesn't have a brain injury. He's okay. There's no mention to it. What's the update on his brain? Like, he was told he had some serious shit and he could not fight no more. What happened with that? The final fight, they tried so hard to like stylize it and make it look beautiful with like this black and white stuff, but then they kept like inserting all these flash frames. It's just a very underwhelming fight. Like, it tries too hard to be stylistic, have all these flash frames and like, you know, black and white with like red blood where like some colors would peep out. It would look cool, but they did it too much. A few times, okay, but every other second, too much. But yeah, this movie, it's very slow, like the first 2/3, especially the first act. It just spends way too much time reminiscing and just talking about the first movie. It takes a while for the film to finally get going. That this movie just wasn't that good for me. It wasn't fun. It didn't need to be made. It was just trying to be another movie that was already been done before. So there was no point for this movie. And just a nitpick, I'm sick of all these mansions in these movies. They're always like bright white. Like, apparently that's just how people like to decorate their mansions. If I had mansions, I'd pimp that shit out. I'd have posters or something. But Mason Dixon, whatever the hell his name is, his whole mansion is just bright white. Plain white walls, trying to make it look like a fucking weird science laboratory. It's like, dude, that's not... Really? That's how you decorate your wall? That's my one nitpick for this movie. I just wanted to point that out. But I swear to God, it's like in a lot of movies. It's so typical, like, movie set like, where everyone's house is just bright white. And I'm sick of it. If this movie had came out and Rocky didn't exist, this would be a pretty good movie. But like I said, it's just a repeat imitation of Rocky 1. So therefore, I gotta say, when it comes to Rocky Balboa, I would just say that maybe you can just rent this at Redbox. There's no point to buy it because you already have it. It's called Rocky. That's what this movie is. I just wish this movie would have taken more risk like the 5th movie. Because the 5th movie took risk, but unfortunately the dialogue and story structure, it just broke it down. The acting, terrible. I already said my piece about that movie. But this movie didn't take any risk at all. So that's my main problem with it, like I said. So those are just my thoughts on Rocky Balboa. What did you think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below if it's one of your favorites. And as always, if you like this video and you want to support, you can do so by clicking on this like button over here. And you can support my channel by clicking on my beautiful cartoon face in 5 seconds to subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you the scene.